Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking of how to create the worlds as in the past millennium, the four Vedas, which contain all varieties of knowledge, became manifested from his four mouths. Purport. As a fire can consume anything and everything without being contaminated, so that by the grace of the Lord, the fire of Brahma's greatness consumed his desire for the sinful act of sex with his daughter. The Vedas are the source of all knowledge, and they were first revealed to Brahma by the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Brahma was thinking of recreating the material world, Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotional service unto the Lord. And the Lord is always ready to forgive his devotee if by chance he falls down from the noble path of devotional service. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.42 confirms this as follows. Sapad moolam bhajata priyasya tyaktvaanya bhavasya hari paresha vikarma yajjotpatitam kathanchit dhanoti sarvam hidi sannivista. Any person who is engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord at His lotus feet is very dear to the personality of Godhead. And the Lord, being situated in the heart of devotee, excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. It was never expected that a great personality like Brahma would ever think of sex indulgence with his daughter. The examples shown by Brahma only suggests that the power of material nature is so strong that it can act upon everyone, even Brahma. Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment. But by the grace of the Lord, he did not lose his prestige as the great Brahma. Thus ends Bhaktivedanta. Kadachit dhyayata srastur veda asams chatur mukhat katham srakshami aham lokan sambetan yatha pura. So yatha pura means previously. Yatha means like previously. So what like previously? The aham lokan. Srakshami aham lokan. So the whole, as we know, when night of Brahma comes, so huge fire comes from Shesh, who is holding the whole universe. It burned everything for 36,000 years. Then huge rain happens again 36,000 years. So this happens the night of Brahma. We'll not go to the detail, we have discussed many times. And day comes, he is to again create as it was before, the whole, the universal structure. So, kadachin dhyayata srastur. Srastur means a creation. Dhyayata means contemplating. Then, how to create? Katham srakshami aham lokam. So, how to create? He is starting taxing his brain. So, because he also goes to sleep when he gets up, again he has to do the work. So, So when it was doing so, dhyayataha, when you are doing dhyana for the Lord, dhyana means pratis only to the Lord. Then Veda asams chaturmukhat. So Veda, the Vedas, asam means manifested. Chaturmukha. So that's the reason 4 Vedas are there. For one mouth, one Veda has come. So, if you multiple mouth, no, then you speak. Sometimes it will be very confusing. Brain also how to speak. So anyway, and the person also will not able to understand. So now, it is lot of good point, lot of points. We try to discuss some of the point. It is said that the example shown by Brahma only suggests that the power of material nature is so strong that it can act upon everyone, even Brahma. Devi Hesai Gurmai Mam Maya Duratya. So the Lord's action energy is very, very powerful. And it said that here, even it can act on Brahma. Brahma being or is the supreme living entity on this whole universe. So yesterday we had a class on the Bhagavatam first canto. So when we are reading the purport yesterday class, first chapter, first canto, fourth chapter, fourth verse. Prabhupada is beautifully beginning the purport. It's very interesting to note when we read the purport carefully. Prabhupada is writing, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul, and thus he remained always alert, not to be trapped by illusory energy. So generally we think, if somebody is liberated, pure devotees, how come, what is the need for him to alert? Not to be trapped by Maya. And that too, Prabhupada is writing, always. So even a pure devotee like Sukadeva Goswami, they are always alert. This alert is very important. Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness, something walking on the razor seat. So alertness is very important. Even when you do fight, let's say you have a weapon. So the knowledge of weapon is required. That knowledge itself is not sufficient. You must know, you should have some training to use the weapon. But if a weapon, you have a training also, a skill, how to use. These two are not sufficient. You should require also alertness by using. So we can see even a devotee like Sukadeva Goswami, he is always alert. Then we can understand how much we have to be alert. We take it granted, no, nothing happens. So even Sukadeva Goswami was so alert in this case. One of the latter, Srila Prabhupada writes one of his disciple. In Vrindavan, Prabhupada is writing this letter. He is explaining about Krishna consciousness. Very interesting to note. Many places Prabhupada gives very insight. What the Krishna consciousness means, for the writes in letter, one of devotee, Krishna consciousness means we should be conscious of Krishna always and also conscious of Maya always. So we should be Krishna consciousness is conscious of Krishna always and also the conscious of from Maya always. So as we know, the Sukadeva Goswami case, he was 16 years on his womb of his mother. He was not coming out. His father Vyasadeva, my dear child, please come out. Beta bahar nikaliye. No. He said, no. He was afraid of Maya. He said, no, I don't want to come out. Maya very strong. He said, don't trouble me and my wife. Please come out. He said, no. This Maya very strong. I cannot. I do not want to come out. Then Vyasadeva says, I assure you, Maya will not catch you, will not capture you. Please come out. He said, no, I don't want your assurance. Because you are in duality. Why is duality saying, my wife and I getting trouble, you are not coming out. So no, I don't want your assurance. So then he says, whose assurance you want? Vedya says, he says, I want assurance who is controller of Maya. So, when he said, I want the assurance of control of Maya, that time Krishna was ruling in Dwarka. So, Ved Vyas goes to the Dwarka, and by request of Ved Vyasa, Krishna comes. And Krishna comes, then he says, please come out. I assure you, Maya will not capture you. Then he says, now it's okay, now I can come out. So when this voice of Sukadeva Goswami, when Krishna heard, is a very sweet and pleasing to the ears. So that time, because of his voice was so wonderful, that time Krishna named him as Sukha. So the Nam Karna was done by the Lord himself for the Sukadeva Goswami as a Sukha, Sukadeva Goswami. So that's so here also Prabhupada is saying even as Prabhupada mentioned here, even he was always alert. So alertness is very, very important when we do our devotional service, and especially because we are in material world. Even we see the case of Sukadeva Goswami, then we have to be much more alert when performing the devotional service. So Prabhupada is bringing the purport as a fire can consume anything and everything without being contaminated. So by the grace of the Lord, fire of Brahma's greatness consume his desire for sinful act of sex with his daughter. See, other day also in class we have discussed the fire of knowledge or transcendental knowledge is very, very powerful. It can burn all your reaction to sinful activities like a fire burns to ashes the firewood. Krishna is not really inclined to punish us, to trouble us, to make us suffer. That's not the objective of Krishna. Krishna only wants to correct us. If we are ready to get corrected by Krishna, then Krishna is very pleased. So that inclination to get it corrected and not to commit sinful activity. But as he mentioned, the Vedas are source of all knowledge, and they were first revealed to Brahma by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Which sloka? Brahma was first revealed. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavi. Knowledge has to be given by Krishna. Krishna has to direct for everything, to everyone and every place. So knowledge which the Brahma got by his desire to serve, that is as he does contemplation, meditation, Lord has bestowed him. So every day Brahma had to do a lot of tapasya. So dhyayato means is called tapasya, meditation. So he done dhyana, so that Lord was pleased by penance. Other day also we have learned the penance and Krishna is not different. If we are doing penance, then always we are associating with Krishna, and Krishna is very pleased. And while Brahma was thinking of recreating the material world, Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotional service unto the Lord. Why Brahma is so powerful? Because his desire to serve Krishna. Even though he had lot of obstacles. In the beginning, he created Kumaras. When he asked, please create the progeny, his attempt was unsuccessful. Kumara said no. Then Lord Shiva came. He did a reverse work. So his attempt again got unsuccessful. Then he created 10. So multiple time he is getting not success to do work which is assigned to him, but still he has not lost his enthusiasm. So that may not be always we get a success in the beginning, but our attempt, other day also we discussed, our endeavor should be 100%. That's called karma yoga. Na? Krishna is power, then only endeavor, not the external. If you are truly endeavoring, Krishna will be very happy. And Lord is always ready to forgive his devotees if by chance he falls down from the noble path of devotional service. So, the famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, Api chet sudaracharo bhajte mam ananya bhak sadhur ev sha mantabya samyak vivastito hi saha. So, api chet sudaracharo, duracharo and sudaracharo. Sudaracharo means abominable work. Then sudaracharo means most abominable work. Api means even. Api chet sudaracharo. If one does some very abominable work, but bhajati mam ananya bhak, but he engages in devotional service intensely. So Krishna says, sadhur evisha mantabhya. Mantabhya means Krishna considered him as a saintly. Why? Samyak vivastito hi saha. He correctly situated. Correctly situated means that every jiva is meant to serve Krishna. While serving Krishna, because of strong force of Maya, sometime he may fall. But because he is engaged in service of Krishna, that will purify his heart, and also it will remove all the contamination. Chipram bhavati dharmatma. Come to the real platform. And if one does not obey the order of Krishna, then Krishna is saying, I consider saintly. Who am I to comment on anything? So we have to do. So how Krishna cleanses the heart who is engaged in devotional service, especially Shravlam Kirtanam Vishnu is called Shanvata Siddhaya Nityam Grahantasya Swa Chestitam Kalena Nati Degrena Bhagavan Visite Hadi. So Shanvata Siddhaya Nityam is hearing about Krishna with full faith. Grahantasya Chestitam, and he is engaged in service of Krishna for full endeavoring. Kalena nati dirghena, kala na ati dirghena. Bhagavan Visite Hirdi. So Krishna entered from ears in the heart of a devotee. And while entering into the heart of the devotee, is pravast karna randrena sunam bhav saroroham dhunoti samalam Krishna salilas yathasarat. So dhunoti, धोने का काम भगवान हृदय में करते हैं भक्तों का जो कि sincerely hear about Krishna with a lot of faith. Faith is very important. Any work we do, any devotional service we render, faith is a very integral part. If one does not have faith in the Lord or His teachings, then even though he may be doing his some service, but they are not very fruitful. Ashrit dana purusha dharma shish param tapa aprap mam nivartante mrittu sansar varvatane. So that faith is very, very important, and faith on the instructions of Krishna. And we must know Krishna is your best friend. Suhridim sarvabhutana. When Prabhupada says you can speak to Krishna, actually you can speak to Krishna. It's not some exaggeration, so it's just you can speak to the deity. If we think he is a person standing, don't think there's a statue and the deity is there. Same Krishna which you find in the Golok Dham, same Balarama, he is standing here. If you full faith, you can speak to the deities. If there is any problem, is our faith, that faith is not there. Faith is there, little faith. It's not full faith, is not there. Shraddha sabde Vishwas hai Sudrin Nishchaya. That faith is very much required. Krishna Bhakti ke liye sarv karma krithaya. So that strong, complete faith is very important. So if you have a faith, then Krishna is always with you. Anyway, he is there, but because you don't have faith, he may not act out of the way. He will act through the system. Out of the way, he will not able to help you. But if you have faith, is any problem, any miserable place, you are there, but there's no way to come out of very troublesome. Have faith, Krishna is there. And if you have that faith and core of the heart, when you speak to Krishna, you get a transcendental direction from the Krishna. So that faith is required, and as we know, Krishna is always in the heart. He will be able to guide you, he will be able to help you out. And also, Lord is always ready to forgive his devotees if by chance they fall down. So that it says this same as apichet sudarachara. So, but that is determined. So, the very nice point Prabhupada talks about, we'll discuss few points on this apichet sudarachara verse. So, Prabhupada writes, if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, Lord being situated within the heart, purifies him and excuses him from the abomination. See, we see here in the case of Brahma, his sons, Marichi and others, they had no intention to criticize Brahma, but he they they asked Brahma very humbly. And more so when Brahma did not respond, what they start doing? They're praying to the Lord. Please help him so that he won't act. Even though it was mental act. And Krishna's mercy falls different devotees and different degrees. Like in the case of Putana, Udva, in the third canto, third chapter. The full Krishna's Leela was narrated by, in brief, who narrated? Udva to Vidura. If you read whole 10th canto, very small, quickly he narrated. Whole 10th canto, whole Krishna Leela, beginning. From Vrindavan to Mathura to Dwarka, all Leelas, and very small. So, Udva mentions to Vidura, Aho Bakiyam Istan Kalakutam Jigham Saya Payat Appasadevi Leve Gatim Dhat Uchitam Tatonyam Kamba Dayalum Sarlam Brajema. So, Baki means Putana, Istan Kalakutam. Kalakutam means very dangerous poison. Istana means on the breast. She applied to kill Krishna. But Krishna is Leve Gatim Dhatra Uchitam. Krishna is considered her mother. So as we know, Sukadeva Goswami, by birth he was a Brahmavadi, emphasis, equipizist, monist. But when he heard of this verse from Vedvyasa, when Vedvyasa was revising the Bhagavatam, first he wrote, then he was revising. When he revised, see if any correction, anything is there. So he was revising. That time, this particular verse was heard by Sukadeva Goswami. And once he heard this verse, then he asked, who is this person to whom you want to kill? And he is giving the position of mother. So, Kamba Dayalum Saralam Brajima. Who can be more merciful than he? Like Krishna, who considered Putana, even though she had come to kill him, consider him mother. Who can be more merciful than, or to whom we can take shelter other than him? So he became more inquisitive about to know more. He said, please tell you more about Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami. So then, Vedvyasa taught him for Bhagavatam. So he was unparalleled to hear. Then he became from Brahmadi to the pure devotees. So here we see in the case of Putana, even though she had an ill intention, she gets a position of a mother. Now we can see Krishna's mercy, how he fall. We don't know. On the case of Bharat Maharaj, exalted devotee, big kingdom, left everything, took sannyasa, goes to the forest. Which level he was? Bhava. Ado Siddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anat Nibbiti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava stage. So much austerity, left everything, full sannyasa. Little while dying, he think of deer. Somehow he gets some artistic small deer. So big punishment. Next life he becomes a deer. But even though he was in deer life, it is mentioned that his consciousness even elevated more than a Bharat Maharaj, even though he is a deer life. So sometimes you say, the Putana, here, even Chitraketu, great devotee of Sankarshana. He is Mother Parvati, she is sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva and the big assembly of the sages. And Lord Shiva was embracing the Mother Parvati by talking about the discourse on spiritual matters. And Chitraketu was flying. Somehow he saw something. It's not very appropriate. He gave some feedback to Lord Shiva. so somehow Parvati became very. So his feedback was maybe appropriate, but it's not given in the appropriate manner. So Lord Shiva is always higher than Chitraketu in that sense. So he given feedback to the senior, so little. And so and more so, it is mentioned he spoke in the front of everyone, and all sages were there. So somehow Parvati, even Parvati is right, Mother Parvati. Now how she can hear the criticism or comments on exalted personality like Lord Shiva. And so she became very furious. And she caused to become next time, demon. So small feedback, she could have given much higher feedback or stronger feedback, but she only caused. He become a demon. So here outwardly it may look like downfall for the Chitraketu, but actually it's not. For the rights. Next life, even though you become a demon, look, what is this degradation from devotee to demon? But actually his consciousness got much more elevated. So sometime outwardly situation, we cannot understand what is the position of a certain person. But the right beautiful purports, if you see in those places, it's definitely, what Indra is a great person. Here is the Dhritarashtra, the demon. And there is then further power the rights when the fight happens and he get killed. So Indra was very happy. Oh, I won it. I got the kingdom back. And he was so happy after victorious. Prabhupada writes in that purpose. Even though Indra got victorious, got the big kingdom back, actually it was true defeat. It was defeat. On the contrary, Vritrasura looked like he defeated, actually is a victory. By his victory, he got more entangled. And Vritrasura, he has gone back to Krishna. So that's a reason what position is situated is very difficult because Bhakti is very internal. So then Prabhupada is writing Purport. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared but Krishna consciousness is so strong that such an occasional fall down is at once rectified. So we were reading So, but if one is engaged in intense devotion service, gradually, slowly he will rectify his situation. And Prabhupada is writing, no one should drive a devotee from such accidental fall down from the ideal path. For as explained in the next verse, such occasional fall down will be stopped in due course as soon as a devotee is completely situated in Krishna consciousness. The beautiful points, I am not covering, many points you can go through. And for the size, Sadhur Eva, the word Sadhur Eva, he saintly is very emphatic. they are a warning to the non-devotees that because of accident or fall down, a devotee should not drive them. Like in the case of Brahma, Marichis and his brother, they had a good sense. They did not criticize or make fun. But Marichi's son, they laughed at Brahma by this act. More details are mentioned in the 11th canto. Because they laughed, they had a sixth son, Marichi. And the laugh was on his grandfather, because he's a grandfather. And that too is a supreme living entity. They laughed in the act of Brahma. And so next was they took as a demon in the family of Hiranyakashipu. And the following birth, they took birth into the womb of Devaki, 6 children. And they were killed by Kansa. So these 6 children which Devaki had before Krishna Balarama, so they were the actually Mari's son, and they had to go through that punishment to come back to the original state of Mariji. So he should still be the saintly concern, even if he has accidentally fallen. Abhada says, if one does not follow this rule and drive a devotee from his accident of fall down, then he is disobeying the order of Supreme Lord. And furthermore, Prabhupada writes, beautiful analogy Prabhupada writes in this purport. These activities should be considered to be like the spots that resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. So moon will have some black spots. Such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. So there could be some spots in the moon, that's Prabhupada. But now Prabhupada ending the purport with the concluding lines. What Prabhupada is saying, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental position can act in all kind of abominable way. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. But we are in a material world. So this should be accidental fall down. It's not one take this verse and keep doing. That is nama parada even. Doing the sinful activity on the name of one. One is sincerely wanting, but the Prabhupada says when you switch off the fan still rotates for a while before stopping completely. So similarly, when we try devotion service, because of we have been carrying impurities, purification already began. So this verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connection. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. So you have the real desire to not to commit sinful activity. So, but because of your weakness, some reason you falls down, Krishna do not consider as any fall down in that sense. So as long as one is not strong enough to fight illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall down, as previously explained. So no one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. So Prabhupada is warning again. Prabhupada is combining both the features. Here, one should not drive, and at the same time, one should not take the advantage of this verse and do the nonsense. That is also Prabhupada has very clearly mentioned here. And Prabhupada is referring the beautiful verse from the 11th canto in this purport to this purport. So it is a dhunoti sarvam hirdi sannivista Swapadamoolam bhajata priyasya tyaktva anna bhavasya hari parisha. So it is said that if one is completely surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna and also involved in devotion service, then Krishna being Sannibhista, Hirdi Sannibhista, Dhanoti Sarvam, he purify his heart. Any person who is engaged 100%, 100% is very important. Even comes na, Deva Rishi Bhutap Niram Pitranam Na Kinkaro Nayam Rini Charajan Sarvapmata Sharanyam Nam Abhit. So if one is Sarvatmanaya Saranyam, who is completely surrendered to Krishna, then he is completely all the rinas. Now we have a rin for every bhuta, apta, for all. Deva, everyone rins here, so will completely. So the sloka of, after that sloka, this sloka was spoken, which Prabhupada is referring in this. So Prabhupada is writing in this. Yeah, so who is any person who is engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord at his lotus feet is very dear to the personality of Godhead Hari. And the Lord being situated in the heart of devotee excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. So again the same thing is being referred. And there are many other points. But last we'll finish here. Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment. So punishment means he has to go through some austerities. No? Punishment means here he has to change his contemplation or the thought process or his mind. So the punishment means austerities. He performs some austerities. So one place Prabhupada says, real repentation for any work nullify the whole reactions. If you do some wrong thing, if you have real repentation in the heart, so by repentation to repentation, it will nullify all the reactions. So as I said in the beginning, it's not something Krishna wants to punish you, to make you suffer. His intention is to correct you, so that it will rightly situate it and then help you to advance in the devotional path. So Prabhupada said, so always we have to concern about ourselves instead of, unless it's assigned task, concern about others. Let's see, we observe ourselves, we find Bhakti Thakur Maharaj says, if you see the fault and that disturb you, you look into within. So when we see our heart, we find our heart is most contaminated than compared to her. So I will stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Prem Nande Hare Hare.